Top 10 celebrities who turned against each other. What happens when the people who built empires together become sworn enemies? When red carpet smiles turn into courtroom battles and former best friends refuse to even say each other's names? From backstabbing business partners to friendships destroyed by betrayal, the stories you're about to hear prove that in Hollywood, loyalty has an expiration date. And number one on this list? It involves a feud so toxic that it changed an entire industry forever. Stay until the end because what really happened has been kept quiet for decades. We've all had falling outs, but when celebrities turn against each other, the whole world watches. These aren't just petty disagreements. We're talking about partnerships worth millions, friendships that define generations, and betrayals that left permanent scars. What makes these stories so compelling isn't just the drama. It's what they reveal about power, ego, and what happens when people who once trusted each other completely go to war. Let's count down the 10 most shocking celebrity feuds where former allies became bitter enemies. Number 10. Drake and Meek Mill. Kicking off our list is a beef that dominated hip-hop headlines and proved that social media has changed celebrity feuds forever. Drake and Meek Mill weren't just casual acquaintances. Meek was dating Nicki Minaj, one of Drake's closest collaborators. They moved in the same circles, showed mutual respect, and everything seemed fine until July 2015. That's when Meek Mill sent out a tweet accusing Drake of using ghostwriters, one of the most serious allegations you can make in hip-hop, where authenticity is everything. What seemed like a shot across the bow turned into an all-out war. Drake responded not with tweets but with 2 devastating diss tracks charged up in the career-defining back-to-back. The response was so brutal that it became the first diss track ever nominated for a Grammy. Meek's counterpunch, Wanna Know, landed with far less impact. For years, their rivalry simmered, with shots fired in interviews and subtle lyrics. What made this feud particularly painful was that it played out in real time, with fans documenting every subtweet and insult. The two eventually reconciled in 2018, but the damage to Meek's reputation took years to repair. This feud showed us that in the streaming era, a well-timed diss track can be more powerful than any publicity team. But social media feuds are one thing. What happens when the fallout involves families, fortunes, and decades of history? Number 9. The Oasis Brothers, Liam and Noel Gallagher. Some siblings argue. The Gallagher brothers turned dysfunction into an art form. Liam and Noel Gallagher formed Oasis in 1991, and their band became one of the biggest rock acts of the 90s, defining the Britpop era with anthems like Wonderwall and Don't Look Back in Anger. But behind the music was a relationship so volatile that it made headlines almost as often as their chart success. The brothers fought constantly, physically and verbally, on stage and off. In 1994, Noel temporarily quit the band during an American tour. In 1996, they got into a fistfight before a performance on MTV Unplugged. Their arguments were legendary, brutal, and very public. The breaking point came in 2009, just minutes before Oasis was supposed to headline a festival in Paris. A backstage confrontation turned violent, and Noel quit the band for good, releasing a statement that he simply could not go on working with Liam a day longer. What makes this feud so fascinating is that it never really ended. For over a decade, the brothers took shots at each other in interviews, on social media, and through their music. Fans have begged for a reunion, offering millions for a single show. But the hatred runs too deep. Two brothers who created magic together can barely stand to be in the same country. Sibling rivalry is painful, but when creative partners who aren't blood-related implode, the wreckage can be even more devastating. Number 8. Kim Cattrall and Sarah Jessica Parker. For 6 seasons and 2 movies, they played best friends navigating life and love in New York City. But behind the scenes of Sex and the City, Kim Cattrall and Sarah Jessica Parker's relationship was anything but friendly. Rumors of tension between the cast swirled for years, but Cattrall and Parker always denied them publicly. Then, in 2017, when talks of a 3rd movie fell apart, the truth came out. Cattrall revealed she had never been friends with her co-stars and felt bullied and excluded throughout production. She accused Parker of being cruel and said the on-set dynamic was toxic. Things got even uglier in 2018 when Cattrall's brother passed away. Sarah Jessica Parker offered public condolences on Instagram, and Cattrall's response was withering. She told Parker to stop exploiting her family tragedy and stated clearly, "You are not my friend." What hurts about this feud is the illusion it shatters. Millions of fans watched these women portray deep, meaningful friendship for years, never knowing that off-camera, they could barely tolerate each other. The show gave us iconic moments of sisterhood, but in reality, it was a professional relationship built on resentment. The Sex and the City reboot, and just like that, moved forward without Cattrall's character, Samantha. The official story was creative differences. The real story? A relationship so damaged that no amount of money could repair it. Sometimes the mask slips, and we see that Hollywood friendships aren't always what they seem. But what about partnerships, built on mutual ambition, that end in courtroom warfare? Number 7. Ray J and Kanye West. This one is messy, personal, and completely modern. Ray J and Kanye West's connection goes back to one person, Kim Kardashian. Ray J dated Kim in the early 2000s, and their infamous tape became public in 2007, launching Kim into superstardom. Years later, Kim married Kanye West, one of the biggest artists on the planet. For a while, everyone moved on. But Kanye being Kanye, he couldn't let it go. In his 2016 track Famous, Kanye rapped about feeling like he and Ray J might still have a chance with Kim, a line that was disrespectful on multiple levels. Ray J fired back in interviews, calling Kanye's comments disrespectful and pointing out that he had moved on with his life. Things escalated when Kanye claimed in a 2022 interview that he personally recovered the second part of the tape and gave it to Kim. Ray J immediately denied this, calling Kanye a liar and accusing him of rewriting history. He released text messages and went on multiple outlets to refute Kanye's version of events. What makes this feud especially uncomfortable is how it reduces Kim to an object in their rivalry. Two men, both successful in their own right, locked in a battle over a woman who has moved on from both of them. It's petty, public, and a reminder that ego can make even grown men act like children. Ego is one thing. But when fortunes and legacies are on the line, feuds can turn into legal wars that last for decades. Number 6. Olivia de Havilland and Joan Fontaine. Some celebrity feuds burn bright and fade. This one lasted a lifetime. Olivia de Havilland and Joan Fontaine were sisters, both Academy Award-winning actresses, and they despised each other for over 7 decades. The rivalry began in childhood. Joan always felt overshadowed by her older sister. When both became successful actresses in Hollywood's golden age, the competition intensified. In 1942, both were nominated for Best Actress at the Oscars. Joan won for Suspicion, and when she extended her hand to congratulate Olivia, her sister refused to shake it. That moment of public rejection set the tone for the rest of their lives. They rarely spoke. When they did, it was through lawyers or press statements. Joan once said, "I married first. Won the Oscar before Olivia did. And if I die first, she'll undoubtedly be livid because I beat her to it." The bitterness was so deep that when Joan died in 2013, Olivia released a statement so cold it shocked even Hollywood insiders. What's haunting about this feud is its longevity. These were two women bound by blood, who chose hatred over reconciliation for their entire lives. No scandal, no major betrayal, just decades of accumulated resentment. When Olivia passed away in 2020 at age 104, she had outlived her sister by 7 years, never having made peace. Sibling rivalry among actresses is tragic. But when two of the biggest icons in music history turn against each other, it becomes a cultural moment. Number 5. Tupac Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G. This isn't just a feud. It's a tragedy that changed hip-hop forever. Tupac and Biggie started as friends. They supported each other's careers, appeared together publicly, and shared mutual respect. Then came November 1994. Tupac was shot 5 times in the lobby of a New York recording studio. He survived, but he believed Biggie and his associate Sean Diddy Combs had prior knowledge of the attack and didn't warn him. Whether that was true remains disputed, but Tupac's belief was enough. The friendship died that night. What followed was the most infamous feud in rap history. Tupac signed with Death Row Records and released Hit 'Em Up, a diss track so vicious it's still considered one of the most brutal in the genre. He didn't just attack Biggie's music, he attacked his family, his wife, his reputation. Biggie responded, but more subtly, never matching Tupac's rage. The East Coast versus West Coast rivalry consumed hip-hop. Then, in March 1997, Biggie was murdered in Los Angeles. 6 months earlier, Tupac had been killed in Las Vegas. Both murders remain unsolved, but the feud that fueled them destroyed 2 generational talents before they reached 30. This wasn't just about ego or competition. It was about loyalty, betrayal, and violence, and it left a scar on hip-hop that has never fully healed. When feuds turn deadly, they transcend entertainment and become cautionary tales. But not all betrayals involve violence. Some involve something even more personal, creative theft. Number 4. Taylor Swift and Kanye West. Few feuds have defined a generation quite like this one. It started at the 2009 MTV Video Music Awards when Kanye West stormed the stage during Taylor Swift's acceptance speech and declared that Beyoncé deserved the award instead. The moment became instantly iconic and deeply humiliating for Taylor. Years later they appeared to reconcile. But in 2016, Kanye released Famous, with lyrics claiming he made Taylor famous and including an explicit reference to her. Kanye insisted Taylor approve the lyrics. Taylor's team denied it. Then Kim Kardashian released edited phone recordings that seemed to show Taylor had approved some of it. The internet turned on Taylor, calling her a liar and a snake. She disappeared from public life for a year. When she returned with the album Reputation, the pain and anger were undeniable. Later, the full unedited phone call leaked, vindicating Taylor and proving she had been telling the truth all along. What makes this feud so modern is how it played out across social media, music, and public perception. It wasn't just about two celebrities. It became about truth, manipulation, and who controls the narrative. Taylor reclaimed her story, re-recorded her albums to own her masters, and turned her victimization into empowerment. This feud taught us that in the digital age, receipts matter, and sometimes vindication takes years. Public feuds can damage reputations, but when business partners turn against each other, entire empires can crumble. Number 3, The Beatles. Paul McCartney vs. John Lennon. The greatest band in history couldn't survive the egos within it. Paul McCartney and John Lennon wrote some of the most beloved songs ever recorded, but by the time the Beatles broke up in 1970, their friendship was in ruins. The cracks started showing when Lennon brought Yoko Ono into the studio, disrupting the band's chemistry. McCartney felt Lennon was prioritizing Yoko over the band. Lennon felt McCartney was controlling and overbearing. When McCartney hired his father-in-law as the band's manager instead of Alan Klein, whom Lennon supported, the rift became permanent. After the breakup, they attacked each other through their music. Lennon's How Do You Sleep was a vicious takedown of McCartney, mocking his music and his marriage. McCartney responded more subtly, but the hurt was evident. For years, they barely spoke. What makes this feud heartbreaking is that they eventually began to reconcile. In the late 70s, Lennon and McCartney reconnected, talking on the phone and even jamming together occasionally. They were on the path to healing. Then, in December 1980, John Lennon was murdered. Paul never got to fully make peace with his best friend. That regret has haunted him for over 40 years. The lesson? Don't wait to repair what's broken. Time isn't guaranteed. Some feuds end in regret, others end in total destruction. And the number 1 feud on our list? It rewrote the rules of an entire industry. Number 2, Bette Davis and Joan Crawford. This is Hollywood's most legendary feud, a hatred so intense it became the subject of books, documentaries, and even a television series. Bette Davis and Joan Crawford were two of the biggest stars of their era, and they loathed each other. The animosity began in the 1930s, fueled by professional jealousy and a rumored love triangle involving François Tone, whom Crawford married. For decades, they took shots at each other in interviews. Davis once said, "She has slept with every male star at MGM except Lassie." In 1962, they co-starred in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. The film was a massive success, but working together was torture. Davis allegedly kicked Crawford during a scene. Crawford put weights in her pockets during a scene where Davis had to drag her, trying to injure her co-star's back. When Crawford died in 1977, Davis was asked to comment. Her response? "You should never say bad things about the dead, only good. Joan Crawford is dead. Good." This wasn't just a feud, it was a masterclass in sustained professional hatred, and it captivated Hollywood for 50 years. But even that legendary rivalry doesn't top our number 1 spot, because the feud we're about to reveal didn't just destroy a friendship, it changed an entire creative medium forever. Number 1, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster vs. DC Comics. This is the most consequential feud on our list, and most people don't even know what happened. Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster created Superman in 1938. The character that launched the entire superhero genre. They sold the rights to DC Comics for $130. Yes, you read that right. $130 for the most iconic superhero of all time. For decades, Siegel and Shuster watched as Superman generated billions in comics, movies, merchandise, and licensing deals. They received nothing. They were broke, forgotten, and bitter. DC Comics owned everything, and the creators who birthed the legend were left behind. In the 1970s, Siegel and Shuster went public with their story, shaming DC just as the first Superman movie was about to premiere. The negative publicity forced DC to give them a small pension and credit, but it was a fraction of what they deserved. This feud exposed the dark side of the entertainment industry, exploitation, broken promises, and corporate greed. It led to reforms in creator rights and inspired generations of artists to fight for ownership of their work. Siegel and Schuster died without ever fully reclaiming what was theirs, but their battle changed the industry forever. This wasn't just about money. It was about respect, recognition, and the value of creativity. And it reminds us that behind every empire, there are often casualties. From creative betrayals to personal vendettas, these 10 feuds prove that fame doesn't guarantee loyalty. Some of these stories ended in reconciliation, others in regret, and a few in tragedy. But they all remind us that relationships, even at the highest levels, are fragile. So here's my question for you. Which of these feuds shocked you the most? And are there any celebrity fallouts we missed that deserve to be on this list? Drop your answers in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Hollywood's darkest rivalries, smash that like button, subscribe for more untold stories, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Which celebrity feud do you think caused the most damage? Personal betrayals like Tupac and Biggie, creative exploitation like Siegel and Schuster, or lifelong hatred like Betty and Joan?